Okay, so this segment we're going to talk about obstacles, and specifically crossing an obstacle. Okay, we're going to use our principles that we have worked on with approach and retreat, so building a horse's confidence. Some call it desensitization. We're also going to be using our forehand yields, hindquarter yields, using rhythmic pressure, and elements of our circle. So the first thing that I want to think about is that when we're thinking about crossing an obstacle, or we're going to have our horse attempt to investigate an obstacle, we want curiosity first. Then the next is we want to think about nose, neck, maybe the feet. So curiosity or the mind, nose, neck, maybe the feet. We're not expecting the horse to cross right away. We're going to use our principles of approach and retreat and our fear thresholds. If my horse hits a fear threshold, I'm going to stop, back him up, back him away from that threshold, and let him rest, then reapproach. Okay? This is what this is going to help with, is it's going to help with everything from crossing streams to trailer loading, having your horse go up and down ramps, even jumping. Jumping is a squeeze or going over something. So when I'm training jumping horses, for example, this is one of the first things that I ask my horse to get confident with, because in order for them to get confident over a jump, they have to get confident over walking over a tarp or a cavaletti on the ground. I've seen jumping horses that can't even cross a cavaletti laying on the ground. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my horse come over here to our obstacle. We have a tarp on the ground, and again I'm going to use my principles to ask my horse to come with me. This horse is being a little bit playful today, so that's good. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is similar to my circle. I'm going to bring my energy up, point, lead, lift, and have him cross between myself and the tarp. Then I'll ask him to yield his hip, turn face, disengage, look at me. Okay? When your horse turns faces and disengages, they have an opportunity to look at that obstacle. It's similar to when a horse is running from a predator. Okay? The distance that the prey animal will run from the predator, stop, turn around, look at the situation and think. Okay, in other words, start to show some confidence versus adrenaline. It's called the flight line. Okay, that's a distance a prey animal will run from a predator and start to think again. So what I'm doing is by having him disengage and look at the obstacle, I'm having him cross his flight line, and we're getting that flight line shorter and shorter and shorter and building confidence. Okay, so we're going to ask him to cross in between myself and the tarp again, energy up. Okay, he gets to look out at it with the other eye, with his left eye. Ask him to disengage, turn face, wait for instructions. Okay? And again, I'm waiting for him to lick his lips like he just did. Okay, lower his head if he wanted to, possibly even breathe out. But the main thing is that even if he can just lick his lips, that's good enough. It means he's digesting a thought or an idea. I'm giving him time to start thinking. Okay? So now I'm going to ask him to come a little bit closer to that tarp and see if maybe he could cross it from the center. So I'm going to ask, then allow. Okay, I'm going to allow him to sniff and be curious. I'm not asking him to cross. I just want him to be curious and check this tarp out. I want him to investigate. So if he wants to push that cavaletti around, that's fine. Okay, if he wants to sniff that tarp, again, our horse's nose is like our hands. Okay, so we have to allow that horse to be confident and curious with their nose. So this is one of the most important parts of horsemanship right here, is allowing that horse to be a little bit curious on an obstacle that he's never seen before, especially a tarp. They can be pretty scary. Okay, now he's investigating the center of the tarp with his nose. He's really curious about that cavaletti rolling around. Okay, and I'm just allowing. I'm not doing anything at all. I'm allowing him to set the timeline. Now, if he gets distracted and wants to walk away, I'll just back him up. I'll say, okay, why don't you back up and start again? Okay. Energy up, put a walk in my body, lead him, lift my stick, ask him to go to the tarp. Now I'm allowing. I'm not putting any pressure on him when he's heading in the direction of the tarp. I'm just allowing. He wants to play with that other cavaletti, that's fine. It was his decision to cross it, based on my suggestion. His decision based on my suggestion. Okay, when he comes across that tarp, the only thing I'm not going to let him do, I'm not going to let him pull on me. So I don't want him to do that, pull the halter out of my hand. But as soon as he comes across, I'm going to turn face, disengage. I can rub him and let him think. This is how we get horses over water. This is also how we get horses to not have an issue with the trailer. We just send and allow. Okay, allow our horses to be curious. Now, if you didn't want him eating this, okay, put something on the ground that you don't care if they eat. If this is an expensive cavaletti and you don't want your horse to ruin a nice jumping cavaletti, use something else that you don't mind them chewing up on, right? So if you notice, everything that I use, okay, I use things with equipment, with young horses especially. I don't care if they tear it up. I don't care if they chew on the lead rope. I don't care if they chew on this stick. I don't care if they chew on that tarp. I'll buy a new one, okay? Their curiosity and their confidence is more important than my tools, okay? Then when they get a little experience, I can take them around things that maybe I won't want them to chew on because I don't need them to chew on it, right? But at first, it's okay. They can chew on tarps. They can chew on sticks and ropes. And that helps them develop curiosity. Okay, I'm going to send him over again. Good. Now look at his hip. Ask him to disengage his hip. Good. Turn face. Look at the obstacle. Attaboy. Okay, I'll rub him. All right, now this time I'll see if he can cross a little bit deeper. So I'm gonna stand in the middle of this, and here's the other thing I want you to look at. I'm not coaxing him across. Okay, I'm not backing up and asking for him to come across by myself backing and kissing and smooching to him. I'm standing on the outside of the obstacle. I'm allowing him to get there first, so he has to be confident in himself, but follow my suggestion. Okay? I'm doing that on purpose because I want him to learn how to investigate things without me being in front of him, okay? If I'm in front of him all the time, he never becomes confident in himself, all right? He only is confident if I'm walking in front of him, leading him on a trailer or leading him across a creek or a tarp. So I want him to become confident on his own and come to the obstacle first. So I'm going to send him out on a half a circle. Again, I'm going to help him out and drive his shoulder away. Allow for him to walk on half a circle, and then he comes across this tarp, and I am not putting any pressure on him right now. Okay, because he wants to be curious, he wants to eat that tarp, I go right ahead. Okay, it's not about the tarp. It's not about the trailer. It's not about the stream. Okay, it's not about anything. It's about the relationship. It's about building confidence. Okay. I'd rather him bite on this and be curious than be afraid of it. Okay? Curiosity is the opposite of fear. Once we know that, we can make decisions like allowing our horses to bite and chew our tarps. Okay? I'm pretty sure they'll make more tarps. And once he gets curious and confident, and we know that he's confident, now he picked his head up, he looked at me, and I'm going to say, hey, why don't you try to cross the rest of this tarp? Okay. I'm just going to ask him to cross the middle. I'm going to drive him using rhythmic pressure. Now I'll ask him to keep going. If he wants to be curious and sniff the other end of this tarp, that's okay. I'll allow it. Good. All right. And I'll ask him again to come across. Good. And as he gets more confident, I'll ask him to keep going. Once I know that he's not going to be scared of this tarp, and he's played with it and mouthed it a little bit, I'll start asking him to go faster, and I won't allow him to stop quite as long, right? But for the first couple of times, I'm going to allow my horse to be curious, to cross with confidence, and hopefully what will happen is that we'll be able to apply this in everything that we do. He'll be confident not only the next time that I bring a tarp out, but the first time that we cross a stream or a puddle. This will already be in there, and he'll be much easier to ask to do that, or even a trailer. Okay, this is our trailer loading preparation right here. All right. So as we move along, we'll be asking this horse to do more with this tarp. Eventually, we might even ask him to back onto the tarp, which we can experiment with by coming to either end. This time I'm going to choose the long end of the tarp. I'll see if I can center him. And I'm going to ask him to explore this horse or this tarp with his hind end. Ask this horse to explore the tarp with his hind end. Okay, so he gets more confident in his hind feet. So I'm just going to use my principles of backing up with rhythmic pressure. Good. So he gets one foot on, I'll quit. Okay, and then he offered a second foot. Great. That was a bit of a gift, was him offering a second foot. Okay. Now he's getting confident with his hind quarter. Just because he's confident with his face and his front feet, or his nose and his front feet, doesn't mean he's going to be confident backing on with his hind quarter. So I'd use the exact same principle of approach and retreat. If this horse had a challenge backing up. Okay. Now this was pretty easy for this horse. Most horses, it takes a little bit longer. You have to play a little bit more approach and retreat. So if this horse didn't want to back up or turn his hind quarter toward that tarp, I'd go as far away as possible, away from his fear threshold, until he could face that tarp with his hind quarter. Okay, so I retreat all the way down the arena until I could get him to face it with his hind quarter, and if he could just take one step, then we'd rest and release until he could make it all the way down here, closer to this tarp, and we decrease that flight line, decrease those fear thresholds. This horse is already doing pretty good, so we'll do it one more time. I'll ask him to smile, ask him to come in, invite him into my personal space. Okay, rub him, say thank you. Okay, not going to spend too much time there because he already knows that people are a good thing. Okay, so this horse needs to learn how to do things like get outside my personal space and back up and yield away. Okay, so I'm going to just ask him finger, wrist if I need to. Good. Elbow, back to my finger. So he gets lighter. There he goes. Perfect. Okay, and I'll let him stop right there. So this is the way that we can start getting our horse confident in all of it, with all of his body parts, forward, backwards, left, right. As this horse gets better, I'd even ask him to yield sideways onto this tarp. Okay, I could circle him from the middle of the tarp. I could be standing in the middle and have him circle around it. I could have him start to cross it at different gaits. Okay, he can cross it at a walk like he's been. I could teach him how to cross it at a trot and not rush across it. I could teach him how to cross it at a canter. And we'll get to that as we move along. But right now, the most important part is that he develops confidence and curiosity as well as relaxation while investigating and standing on the tarp if he can. All right, good job, buddy. We'll reel him in and tell him thank you. And also, by allowing him to stand on the tarp, we make the tarp the release of pressure. We make the tarp a good place to be. It's really important to make that tarp a place where he's allowed to rest, because pretty soon that fear, if your horse has any fear of the tarp, it will turn into curiosity and confidence. They'll start looking for tarps. They'll start looking for them to relax on, because that's where all the pressure comes off and they're no longer scary. All right. And one last thing, always remember, before you put your horse up, spend a little bit of time not putting any pressure on them. You can rub on them, you can scratch on them, or just stand there with them and allow them to have some dwell time or some relaxation time without you putting any pressure on them. Good job, partner. So again, we're going to take this ball and we're going to go away from him and allow him to establish curiosity. Don't assume that just because he might be curious with tarps and other things that he's going to be curious with this ball. Okay, so you can see that he's definitely curious, but he's a little bit suspicious. See how he stops? He hits a fear threshold, and right there he could potentially run away. So instead of allowing him to make the decision of running away, I'm gonna back this ball up. Okay, he's responding a little bit differently than the last horse. He's a little bit more unconfident. All right, so he retreated. Okay, so I'm going to allow him to approach by retreating with this ball. See how he is approaching? I'm going to retreat with the ball. Okay, allow him to approach it on his own. Okay, I'm ready to respond in case he tries to run away. Okay, he's just a young colt. He might scare himself, but as long as he's being curious, I'll just allow. Good. He's an innately confident horse. He's innately extroverted, so he likes to play. He likes to lip things. He likes to move things around. He's a little bit on the dominant side, so it theoretically shouldn't take him too long before he starts showing confidence. Okay, and all this curiosity is going to lead to him being confident and accepting this ball as something that's not going to kill him, something that's just another part of his life. Good. Curiosity leads to play. Play leads to confidence. Okay. Now I'm going to lift my lead rope up, disengage him. Okay. He just got a little exuberant. He got playful, a little bit scared, then exuberant. Okay. Curiosity leads to play. Play leads to confidence. Okay, I'm not going to allow myself to get backed in a corner here, because I might run out of real estate for me to move around. As you can see, this horse, even though he's gaining confidence, he's still a little bit dangerous because he could strike out at me. So if he tries to strike, I'm just going to lift my lead rope up, disengage him, and ask him to come back to my ball or my object. Okay, again, plan, approach, retreat. I'm not criticizing him for anything. Okay, I'm not criticizing him for being fearful, not criticizing him for being exuberant, but I am going to correct him. Okay, if he tries to run away, he gets too close to me with his hind legs, or his front legs for that matter. Okay, I'm also standing a safe distance away. I'm not right up there next to him. Okay, I'm not standing right at his shoulder trying to expose him to this ball. I'm standing a safe distance away, about 12 feet away. Okay, you could use a longer line if you're confident with long lines. I'm showing you one of the easier lines to handle, which is a 12-foot line. So I'm just going to allow him to be curious, but ready to correct. Okay. Allow him to play. Now I'm on his right side. Okay, I'll see if I can get him to come back to my ball, lead him. There you go. And you can see before he develops confidence, he needs to first explore. Okay, he needs to explore with his mouth. You might see him bite it a couple times. You might even see him paw at it. He's pushing it with his nose. He's dominating it with his nose. He's also playing. Okay, it is a form of play, but make no mistake, when a horse pushes something with their nose and their body, like he's doing right now, that's also dominance. He's dominating the ball. He's gaining confidence by dominating it in his eyes. To us, it may only look like play, but it's one part play, the other part dominance. Good. He's looking at me with 2 eyes and 2 ears. Okay, he's asking a question. When horses look at you with 2 eyes and 2 ears, they're asking a question, what's next, or what would you like to do? So I'm gonna rub him and say, good job, buddy. Well, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try to bounce this ball, okay? Now I'm gonna, again, bring this ball out and away from this young horse. And I'm gonna back up. Again, we discussed this a little bit in our last segment, is that we really want to be good at bouncing balls. This colt's going to show us why we want to have the skill already down of bouncing a ball, knowing how to bounce it backwards and walk away, okay, and bounce it forwards and come to. It's really hard to bounce backwards. Well, it's not hard, it just takes skill, okay? But the bouncing backwards is the most important part. Like I'm walking backwards and bouncing this ball, trying to get this colt to develop confidence. Okay, I'm playing a retreat, playing retreat with distance and speed, okay, or rhythm. I've got a slow RPM or rhythm in my hand. I'm not bouncing this high or bouncing it really fast. I'm bouncing it consistently. And as soon as I see this horse lick his lips, there he goes, I can quit, retreat, and allow him to be curious, draw up to this. Okay, and then rest, okay? Because I want him to, again, understand that the ball is a place where he can rest. Just like the tarp, just like me, just like the center of the circle, okay? So wherever we want our horses to gain confidence, we want to make that the spot of rest. All right. As soon as he gets a chance to rest a little bit, I'm going to roll this ball away from him. I'm going to start bouncing it away from him, okay? And I'm going to walk away first. I'm retreating, okay? I don't just bounce it right next to him right away, because I realize he's still got some fear thresholds. I'm taking this ball away from his fear threshold. See how he put his head up and put some tension on the lead line? I just kept backing away, developing confidence by retreating away from his fear threshold. Good. As soon as he shows some curiosity, okay, as I was bouncing it, he got pretty close on his own. So I retreated. So you can retreat or stop bouncing the ball when they lick their lips, blink their eyes, put their head down, blow out, or when they become curious enough to come closer to it on their own while it's bouncing. Any one of those indicators, you can stop bouncing and take the pressure away, or in this case, perceived pressure. It's not really pressure, but he perceives it as pressure, okay? And we're working on desensitizing him so he doesn't perceive it as pressure, okay? It's just going to be rhythmic motion. And again, rhythmic motion doesn't mean anything. Just like if I was jumping up and down myself, okay? It shouldn't mean anything to my horse if I jump up and down. Okay, again, we need to be two-sided as well. I need to bounce this ball just as good with my right hand as I do my left hand. Be able to walk away or back up. When I back up, I can kind of keep a look on my horse and adjust my lead line, and I can still see my horse's responses and reactions when I bounce this ball backwards. So that's why you see me bouncing it backwards versus turning around and bouncing it away. I can't see my horse quite as well, and if he were to turn around and try to kick out at this ball, I can't see it coming. So I need to learn how to bounce this ball backwards, okay? And it kind of forces me to slow down a little bit too, because I don't walk as fast backwards as I do forward. There, he licked his lips, okay? Again, anytime your horse licks their lips, puts their head down, blinks their eyes, they're starting to digest a thought or an idea. They're using the thinking side of their brain. They're starting to gain confidence and get off of adrenaline, right? We're training our horses not to be on adrenaline. One of the most important concepts that we're going to discuss in our training, okay, is when we see our horses on adrenaline, we immediately want to play approach and retreat and build our horses' confidence so they can stay in a thinking frame of mind. Okay, if they're on adrenaline, the only way that they can learn is through one-time learning. Okay, like when you touch your finger to the stove and you never touch it again. Okay, that's a way to learn, but it's fear-based. Okay, you can't learn principles and concepts under fear. Okay, so he's building confidence step by step. And every time that I notice a change in my horse, I'm going to think to myself, how long did it take for him to show that change versus last time? Did it take 2 minutes at first? The next time it only takes 1.5 minutes. The next time after that it takes 1 minute. Next time after that 30 seconds. So is the time between him being confident and relaxing versus the time of him being fearful and on adrenaline shortening? Okay, and how much is it shortening by? So that I can start to gauge whether he's starting to make changes and gain more confidence. Are they putting their neck down? Are they softening their muscles? So right now his muscles look pretty soft. His neck starting to lower a little bit. And he's starting to lick his lips sooner and sooner. Again, we're backing away to build confidence. Okay, he's starting to investigate this ball a little bit more. So I'll just stand here and bounce it a little bit. Allow him to kind of sit on this fear threshold and have him make his own decision. Okay, good. He starts to move his head around. He'll probably lick his lips next. See that? So when you see them shaking their head, usually they're going to lick their lips next and even put their head down. Okay, shaking their head usually means they're trying to find confidence. Okay. So now I'm going to see if I can come a little bit closer to this horse's left side. Okay. And again, the reason why we're doing this is because we want our horses to become confident with all sorts of different stimulus, okay? And if we notice that our horses are fearful about a bouncing ball, okay, now imagine if this was us trying to mount our horse, okay? If they can't be confident with this ball, they're probably not going to be confident with us jumping on their back, okay? They're probably not going to be confident with a young person or a kid running around. What if this horse was one day to become a lesson horse? He's got to be prepared for shows. He's got to be prepared for young people crawling all over him, running all around. And if he's spooking at any stimulus that he doesn't understand, he's not going to be safe, right? And I don't want him to be worried. I don't want him going through life worried and fearful. Okay? So I'm going to help him not be fearful of things that he doesn't understand. Now, the benefit of this is that he's learning that I can help him become confident. He's learning that I will first develop his confidence, build his trust, then I'll teach, communicate, and educate, okay? So it's helping him develop more trust with me because he's seeing that I can expose him to different environments, different obstacles, different objects, and he walks away going, wow, that was actually kind of cool. I was afraid at first, but then my leader helped me develop more confidence, okay? And eventually your horses will get addicted to being confident. They will understand when you put them in a new environment that you're going to play approach and retreat, and you're going to build their confidence, and they're going to look for that. They're going to look for your leadership, and that's what I really want right now, is I want him to start to look for my leadership, and part of being a good leader is building confidence in your partner, okay? It's not just telling people what to do, or telling horses what to do and where to be. It's also developing confidence and trust. Good. So he allowed me to bounce close to his left shoulder. I'll stop. Okay. Retreat. Take the stimulus away. Let him think. Okay. I don't mind if he licks or rubs on me. If he does a little, I'll just gently push him away. Okay. I'll catch that ball, and I can rub him with it. Okay, let him look at it, retreat away. Always, always, always think about retreating, especially when you're doing something new. Okay, and when I say doing something new, I'm not just talking about playing with this ball in general, but I'm talking about when I'm bouncing it on his shoulder, putting it on his back for the first time. You see that I rubbed him and then I backed away and I retreated. Even while he was trying to smell the ball, I still retreated because I know that he's not 100% confident yet. Okay, he's playing with his lead rope. He's starting to show a little bit more curiosity in play. Okay, so that's good. That's right before we build confidence, when we start seeing curiosity in play. See if I can come back over here to his shoulder. Again, I need to keep this ball under control so I don't bring it in too fast too soon. Okay, I'm going to back up. Every time he goes away, I'm going to back up and draw him in. I'm going to back up and draw him in. Now you see I'm stepping out to my right. As every time that he tries to go away from me, I'm going to step back to my right and draw him in. Good. Good. I'll rub on him. Okay. Bring that ball off of his back, have him draw up to it, so I'll reel him in and ask him to come closer to it and see if he wants to take a look at it. Okay. Rest near the ball. Okay, if he gets distracted or starts playing with his lead rope, he's telling me, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this, Chris. Now you can see all the maneuvers that he has to understand to get confident with that ball. He's got to understand how to draw to me. He's got to understand how to yield his hips. Okay. Lead off this lead rope. Okay. All the maneuvers that we've been working on in our sessions, he's got to be good at so that I can help him build confidence with this ball. Okay, good. So before I ever sit on his back, I want him really good with this ball and not trying to run away from this bouncing ball. Rub it up against him. See if he can stop. Keep this ball on his shoulder. See if he can find a stop. Okay, he got pretty close. See if he can find a stop. There you go. Attaboy. Okay, he licked his lips. Take that ball away. Okay, let him rest and think about it. Try that again. Bounce that ball up and down, up to his shoulder. Ask him to find a stop. Good, he looks at that ball. I can take it away and say, there's no worries. Okay, let him think. Now we're going to go to the other side. We're going to go to his right side. So I need to bounce this ball back behind my back. Go to my left hand. Okay. Really practice those skills. Bouncing that ball. Okay. The reason why you see me do things like pass this ball behind my back is because I can go away from the horse. When I pass this ball behind my back, I'm retreating away from the horse and coming and switching sides. Okay. Now, I'm on the new side, I'm on the right side. Again, like we talked about, horses are bilateral animals, okay? It means they have eyes on the side of their head. So we've got to expose horses to both sides of their body, okay? They don't see like us. We've got vision that's more binocular, okay? Like they look straight out in front, okay? They have bilateral. So we have to realize that what we do on one side, we have to duplicate on the other. We can't assume that they just associate the left side to the right side and the right side to the left side. See how I'm having to start all over again on this side and build confidence. Okay, it's not like it was where we ended on the left. Okay, but if I use my principles, then we'll be able to build the confidence just as fast on the right side. Okay. Let's see if I can bounce this away from my horse. Rub him. There we go. Disengage him. If he tries to walk off or walk past my shoulder, disengage him, turn and face. Okay. It's going to be important for him to understand the disengagement, because when I'm riding him, if he gets afraid, I'm going to need to bend him, disengage, turn, face, and stop. Good. Okay, if he starts getting curious in me or the ball, I'll stop bouncing. Good job. All right. I'm going to ask him again. Build a little confidence while we're bouncing. Okay. Roll that up on him. Roll it right back off. Roll that up on him. Good. He blows out, relaxes, puts his head down. I take the pressure away. He's starting to build more and more confidence with this ball on his back. Okay, so I'm going to do it one more time. See if we can repeat that. And again, we're just going to bounce it on up there, put it up over his back where he can see it. It's exactly where I'm going to be when I'm riding him. So I want him to get used to an object bouncing up, coming up, and him seeing it on his back from both sides, building confidence. I don't want to be the first one up there and exposing him with my body and never having exposed him with objects. Okay, let him feel that on his hind quarter. Okay, let him feel that on his shoulder and his mane. Okay, this is pretty much where I'm going to be riding at. So I want him confident, both sides. Okay. All the way down. Bounce it up on his hindquarter. Rub him. Good. Now, we've bounced the ball up on both sides, his shoulder, okay, just behind his scapula, where we ride on his back, on his hip, up and down. He's felt it on his leg and over his rib cage. And we played a lot of approach and retreat to and away to build his confidence. There's a lot more that we can do with this obstacle. We could even walk him around and encircle him with this on his back, which we will do in a future segment. But for now, this is a really good place to end, is having him confident with this ball bouncing on both sides, coming up on his back, his hindquarter and shoulder on the left, back hindquarter and shoulder on the right, and ending with him blowing out and showing a little confidence. Now, one of the most important things right now is that I just stop and rest and let him find relief at the ball. Okay? I'm not just going to put him up. We're not just going to put him in the stall. We're going to allow him to rest and relax in here and soak up all this information, see that I'm a good place to be, okay? And that this ball is also a good place to be too.